actually just won the best marketer on LinkedIn for the APAC region,
Our next guest
which is
an entrepreneur that has been disrupting the lead generation industry through the world's largest
Bibby is an entrepreneur disrupting the way businesses generate leads online.
Joined by marketing consultant Nathaniel Bibby of Bibby Consulting Group. Nathaniel actually just won the best marketer on LinkedIn for the APAC.
Social media marketing award last year was recognised by the industry as LinkedIn Marketer of the Year. His name's Nathaniel Bibby, and he joins us now. How are you doing? I'm good. How are you? I'm very well.
What's up? How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Monday Night Live. What an intro, hey? Drop in the comments, say hello. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I've been looking forward to this. As many of you would know, I stopped doing LinkedIn Live every week 3 years ago, and Monday Night Live was really thriving. It was great. I used to look forward to it every week. We had some fantastic guests on. We did lots of Q&A sessions, added a lot of value through content, and built a community of like-minded individuals that were growing their business, not just on LinkedIn, but social media in general, who wanted to upskill. And I'm bringing it back. So drop in the comments. There might be a bit of a delay. I want to see who is here. And I don't expect us to get the same numbers that we did have when we left off 3 years ago. But my intention is to be consistent and to add as much value as humanly possible. This is just as good for me as it is for you guys. This is great, regular practice for me speaking and delivering value. And I remember when I was doing it so regularly last time, it really came natural for me. Storm, first one to drop in the comments. How you doing from Perth? It's been a very warm day today in Perth, 43 degrees. Before I came on live, I've just been working out how to cool this room down a bit. Let us know where you're tuning in from. I'm sure we've got people from Melbourne and Sydney, Southeast Asia, US. So let me know where you're at. So I'll just bring on screen the agenda. Jasmine's here. How you doing, mate? Thanks for being here, buddy. This is what we're going to cover today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the vision for Monday Night Live, what my plans are. I'd love to hear your feedback on what I'm thinking of doing. The LinkedIn algorithm in 2025, what areas to focus on. I think it's very easy in this day and age to procrastinate with all the different options that are out there. What I'm going to try and do is get you to understand what not to focus on and what to focus on so you can save a lot of time. I still believe that LinkedIn is the gateway to opportunity, especially in business to business. I'm going to talk about the most underrated strategy right now. I think the one person that could probably guess what it is Yasmin, if he's here. This is something which has been definitely inspired by him. I've been off of LinkedIn for a couple of years, and when I got back on, there's all these LinkedIn trainers and LinkedIn coaches everywhere all of a sudden. So I've gone from being like the in a blue ocean where there's just one of me to being lots. So I thought, okay, well, who's leading the way? And I'm going to learn from those guys as well, because you're always learning, right? Always upskilling. And this underrated strategy is definitely inspired by Yasmin. We've got Mark here from Germany, all the way from Germany. How you doing, mate? I'm also going to share with you how you can be on the show as well. So if you want to check that out, stick around for that. Okay, so in terms of what I'm planning to do with the show this year, I've got a few ideas and I'd love to hear your feedback. Obviously, a natural thing to do is have Q&A sessions. What I was actually thinking of doing is, rather than just taking questions in the chat, is if you guys want to come on to the show and ask a question and be part of the show, I can drop you a link and you can actually join me live. Makes it much more interesting for everybody watching. Everyone else can get value out of it. And you get the chance to also be on Monday Night Live across LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, which hopefully will be of some value to you as well. So Q&A sessions is one of them. And then once a month, because it's every week, right? So that will be once a month, the Q&A session. Then once a month, what I plan on doing is bringing an expert in to interview. So in the past, I've had guys like Dr. John D. Martini, who's an expert on psychology in a number of different areas. I've had Grant Cardone, obviously a guru in sales and entrepreneurship. We've had Jack Delosa, Kerwin Ray, who unfortunately passed recently, which is very sad. But so we've had lots of great guests on, adding value in different areas. The way that I normally find my guests is who I'm learning from. If I come across a good TED Talk on YouTube or something like that, then I reach out to them. I think someone's going to deliver value to the audience. But I'd love to hear from you guys as well, like who would be open to ideas. It could be any area from sales, marketing, could be LinkedIn, could be speaking, could be anything related to what you guys are interested in. And I'll have a look at what they're doing and see if we can get them on the show. And then I'm going to be doing some roasts as well. I'm going to be roasting some posts. So if you want your post roasted, by all means, send it through privately on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to share some feedback with you. But I'm just going to be grabbing some posts from celebrities. Like I was looking at Alex Hormozi's post yesterday, and I've got this cool tool called Clio, which allows you to sort somebody's post by which one's got the most likes, which one's got the most comments, and vice versa. You can even sort the post by the oldest to the newest. So it's really interesting because I did that. I sorted from oldest to newest with Alex Hormozi. Some of you might be familiar with him. Celebrity entrepreneur, mainly, well known through his social media presence. And, his first post, sure enough, 53 likes. And you sort of see, 2 comments, 3 comments. You see the transition that he goes from, a small creator that I can, relate to then all of a sudden, now it's 100 comments, now it's 200 comments. It's really interesting to look at and see, what are the differences that, the changes that he made in order to achieve that. So I want to include some of that when we're roasting posts. We're going to look at some celebrity stuff, what's their most engaging post and why. When you sort by most engaging posts on the celebrity, it's really interesting. It's like the top 3, most engaged posts will often be written very similarly because they've seen what works and then they've replicated it 6 months later. So it's the same sort of format. So we can learn a lot from doing that. So I'm going to do that. And then once a month, I'm going to just deliver a webinar on a topic, from myself. There's a whole bunch of topics I've got written down, but they're in a natural sort of sequence. One's going to tie to the next. So we've got the most underrated strategy on LinkedIn today and a bit of an update on the algorithm in 2025. But we'll go through all sorts of things like, videos, how to optimize your profile, lead generation, social selling, etc., etc. Storytelling, I've got a whole list. So, one a month, that's 12. It's going to be like doing a crash course on LinkedIn. Now, look, one of the things that I wanted to say, and I know there's a handful of you here. Some of you guys are going to watch the recording. I did send this out to my database this afternoon to about 7,000 people. So a lot of people are going to catch the recording. So if you are watching the replay, welcome. Great. So I've lost my place now. So we'll talk about those different topics each week. What I was going to say was, it's almost like by coming to Monday Night Live, if you put it in your calendar, and you come every Monday at 6, I promise it won't go longer than an hour. Well, I can't promise it, but I aim to not go longer than an hour. Sometimes it'll be 40 to 45 minutes, just depends on what we've got going on that week. But if you make it a regular commitment to come at that time, in 12 months' time, I can almost guarantee that your business is going to look completely different. I'm sure I don't have all the answers, but just by coming somewhere where you can hold yourself accountable, I'm going to give you some ideas of what you can action, between each session, so you can implement. It's almost like doing a 12-month coaching program. The only challenge with it is, it's free, which means that, you've got to hold yourself accountable because, Harvard have done a study that looked at, whether or not people invest in something, and the statistics show that if they don't invest in it, then they don't necessarily, hold themselves accountable to attend. And so that's up to you, really. But I suggest doing that. If you do that each week, I promise that, you'll be able to look back over the last 12 months in a year's time and say, wow, my business looks completely different now. And I don't have all the answers, but when it comes to sales and marketing, I do have a lot of experience. I've been growing my LinkedIn agency for almost 12 years now. which is the longest standing, LinkedIn agency, certainly in Australia. It might be outside of the US. It's a long time. I've generated over $3 million in revenue for my own business, generated over 500 million that we know about for clients that I've worked with in B2B, trained over 40,000 professionals. So I'm not telling you this to impress you, but do have a lot of experience in this area, and I hope that it delivers value. That's really my goal to you guys. So that's a little bit about what my vision is for Monday Night Live moving forward. From my own perspective, I want to connect with you. I want to hear what you guys think. I want to get your feedback. I'd love for you to be active in the comments. I'm not going to do the comment bait thing that, where I get you to comment to get something free. I've given up on that. But drop in the comments, say hello. Who we got here? Mark. Quick mention, your background music almost overwhelms your voice. We've got background music, do we? Interesting. Pause. There you go. Thanks for the feedback, Mark. That's really helpful. So yeah, haven't been on StreamYard in a while. So, this is relatively, well, it's not new, but it's, I'm getting back into it. When I was doing it every week, I could literally sit down without any preparation and deliver a live stream. But today's a little bit different. So, okay, let's keep going. Okay, so to understand the LinkedIn algorithm, I want to share some statistics with you. This is from a chap called Robert van der Blom. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Richard van der Blom? We've got Lacey Saville in the house, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Algorithm Insights report. Now, this was for 2024. I just want to explain a couple of trends to you that's quite important. So for desktop, laptop users, which are 35% of visits to LinkedIn overall, the average session duration is 3 minutes, which is 13 seconds shorter from the year before. I think that's going to be a trend. People's attention span are less. Attention spans are shorter. So monthly engagement time, 24 minutes, which is a 25% increase. Average post viewed per session, 11, which is increase. Again, shorter attention spans, right? But, in an average session, you've got 3 minutes and they're viewing 11 posts. So, how much of that 3 minutes do you want to capture? If they're viewing 11 posts, your post has got to be in the top at least 10%, right, to capture their attention. So this is quite important when we move to the next slide, where we look at mobile users, which is 65% on average. But don't be fooled by that statistic, because it is a lot higher when people are browsing the feed. So the average session duration is 1 minute and 39 seconds, which is short. That's not a long time. Every month they're spending 90 minutes on average. Keep in mind, most people aren't that active. So when it's an average, the active people are spending a lot more time on there. Average post view per session, 14, right? So in 1 minute and 39 seconds, they're viewing on average 14 posts, which is a lot. So you've got to think about, how do you capture attention? And that's really important. Like, you have to get that right. A lot of creators will spend 70 to 80% of their time focused on that part. And when I say capture attention, it might be the visuals of the post, or it might be the hook that you use at the start. But those two things, are examples of what can grab attention, and creators are spending most of their time on there. So I think that is actually a lot easier to do than it is to convert that attention into engagement. So I think, there's a couple of strategies I'll share with you of how you can capture attention relatively quickly. But what I really think that you should be focusing, at least half your time, if not more, is the value that you provide after you get that attention, because it's a lot easier to get attention than it is to hold on to it. And the way that you hold on to it is by building trust. And the way that you build trust is by being consistent and delivering value. And this is something I've been practicing for a long time. And for those of you that read my article on LinkedIn about why I disappeared from Monday Night Live, this is half of the story. The other half is a bit more technical. But I had my daughter. She's now 2.5, going on 3. And I wanted to spend time with her when she was born. I was going to take 6 months off of Monday Night Live, just focus on the clients that I had. We noticed after 6 months she wasn't reaching certain milestones, like being able to crawl and sit up and things like that. Speech was a bit slow. Of course, me being positive, I was telling my partner, it's nothing to worry about. She'll be fine. My partner was definitely a lot more cautious. We went and got various tests. Again, I was staying positive. I tend to slant more to the positive. And one day we got the call, to tell us that Brooklyn, our daughter, has cerebral palsy, and it's been a bit of a tough thing to get our head around. It's been a year since we started treatment for her, and in the last month, it's absolutely amazing how much progress she's made. I'm very proud of her. She can say it was 10 words a couple of days ago, and I believe it's 11 or 12 now. She's really, really doing well, and she's one of the most happy children that are out there. And I know that's not what this is about, but that's why I took a hiatus from Monday Night Live for a couple of years and broke my rule of being consistent. Now, I think in that case, family does come first, and I think that's understandable. Now that I'm back, and when I did come back, I wanted to make sure that it was going to stay that way. So now I'm ready, and I can be consistent, and I can commit to that. And so I'm going to practice what I preach, and it doesn't matter if there's 2 people here or 200 people or 2,000 people. I'm going to be showing up and delivering as much value as I can. So for browsing the feed and interaction, mobile usage is 88%. I reckon this is a bit of an understatement. When the 2025 report comes out, you'll find that it's higher than this. On other social platforms like TikTok and Instagram, it's more like 99%. So long story short, when people are consuming content, most of the time, they're on this baby right here, mobile phone. And so it's really important that you cater for mobile devices when it comes to posting content and on your profile. When people see your content, the goal is to get them to view your profile. I think this is old news, but you don't sell yourself in your post. You used to see a lot more of them, but people would be like, "Oh, if you want to know more, this is my website. Here's my email address in their content." I think people have figured out now that you don't do that when you're posting content, or you won't get engagement. What you want to do is post valuable content. If people want to know more, they'll view your profile, and then your profile really has to do the job of converting visitors into opportunities for you. And it's hard to do that if you've created it on a desktop and you haven't done it with the user who might be on a mobile, or is probably on a mobile device, in mind. So what does that mean? Well, first of all, just to state the obvious, these things are a lot smaller than a desktop, right? So you want to make sure that it's really easy to read. That means your background photo, you have to make sure that check it on a mobile device. And if you've got any text in there, make sure it's readable on a mobile device. Really important. If you haven't got a background photo, then it's a great opportunity, because what's going to happen is people will see your name and they'll see the first part of your headline when you're posting on LinkedIn, when you're commenting, when you're in the private messages, they'll see that. And when they get to your profile, the first new thing they're going to see is your background image. So you want to use that to add value, to show trust, to build trust, to put your unique value proposition across. There's a number of ways that you can do it, but use that space, because it's the first things people's eyes are going to go to. They're always going to go to the image first. So the first most important thing is your profile photograph. That's what people are going to see all over the place. It's worth getting a professional one done. I've seen some fantastic AI ones recently, so that might be another option. But it's worth getting a good one, high resolution, and make sure the lighting's good. And the first 90 characters of your headline is very important, because that's what people are going to read. So if it's longer than that, it cuts it off when it's in the feed. And then your cover photo is going to be the third most important thing. So have a think about that when you're writing your profile and you're writing your content. In terms of text, no one wants to read a big block of text on their mobile phone, right? So you want to break it up. Most of the time, I'm only doing 1-sentence paragraphs these days, 1 or 2-sentence paragraphs. You notice I really space out my content, and which might look a bit funny if you're looking from a desktop, but when you look on a mobile, just makes it really easy to read. Because I'll tell you right now, with people viewing 14 posts in a minute or whatever it is, it doesn't take much for them to, for their attention to go elsewhere. So if they lose their space when they're reading your post or your profile, they're gone. They're history. They're on to the next thing. They're on to one of the other 35 browsers they've got open. So people are editing their profile on a desktop. See the last point there? 83% on desktop. So that tells me that when they're editing it, they're not thinking of, generally not going to be thinking about the mobile user. So I want you to make sure that you check it on your phone as well. Really important. 62% of post creation occurs on a mobile, 38% on desktop. So if you are doing it on desktop, just think about the mobile, how it's going to look on a mobile when you're doing it. The next thing I'm going to say about the algorithm is, this is interesting, isn't it? This is a screenshot of the number of impressions my content got over 14 days during, what is it, December, isn't it? December 19th to 31st. So that is, I think it's 14 days. It says 14 days. Maybe it's a little bit longer than that. But anyway, you can notice that the number of impressions on my content was 1,731,479, which may not mean much to you, but it's a 2,838.1% increase in the previous 14 days. And to be honest, it's a similar increase than what I would normally be posting throughout the year. I mean, this was the highest amount of views that I'd got all year by thousands of percent. I'm not sure if it was 2,000 or 1,000, but it was a lot. And so I want to share with you how that was achieved, because it wasn't through posting more. And I don't think it's about doing more with any of this stuff. It's about doing the right things. So yeah, and it links in with our mobile usage conversation. This is just one post here. Let me see if I can make that a bit easier to see. Nope, that's not easier, is it? So we've got 650,000 impressions on that particular post. There's another one here, 724,000 impressions. Now, these are videos, right? So what LinkedIn's done, if you know anything about social media, you'll know that TikTok is a beast, and all the social platforms are following what TikTok has done, because it just gets so much attention. People love scrolling through videos on their mobile device. Don't know if you've ever sat on the couch and looked through videos, but it's very addictive, and so that's what people are doing, and that's what social media platforms are catering for. You'll notice Instagram have Reels, which you can scroll through. Facebook also have the same thing. And so LinkedIn hasn't done it. And then now in 2024, in March, they announced that they were going to trial a vertical video feed on a mobile device. And what that means is if you open up the LinkedIn app, the middle bottom button is video. So they have a navigation bar along the bottom, and there's normally 5 options on it. These are the 5 areas that LinkedIn want to draw your attention to, and they want you to click on. That's why they're there, and that's why they're highlighted. And the middle one's video, which means it's the most important to LinkedIn. That's the one they want you to click on the most and scroll through videos. And so they've been trialing it since March last year. So not everyone had it, but they were trialing it to see what the results are like with a certain number of users. And then I got wind of it in about October, November last year. I heard that they'd announced that they were going to roll this out worldwide. We already had it in Australia. They had rolled it out to about 10% of LinkedIn's user base, and we're planning to roll it out to the rest. And so what happens when LinkedIn introduces a new feature is that you get unprecedented reach, right? They really push people that use it. There's not a lot of competition. So I've been doing this for 11, 12 years now. And when I started, you couldn't post content on LinkedIn. I was just using it to network, set appointments, direct messaging, outreach. And then they introduced LinkedIn articles, but they didn't let everyone post articles. They had 200 influencers that they chose, people like Tony Robbins and Richard Branson, that could post LinkedIn articles. And that's all you could follow. You could only follow those 200 people. So great for them. And then one day they thought, oh, why don't we just let the users decide what they want to read? And so we'll let everyone post articles, and whatever gets most engagement we'll show the most of, right? And so I started posting articles when they announced that, because I was already heavily using LinkedIn. And at the start, I got unprecedented reach, 800,000 views, no worries. And really got a big push. And then obviously more competition moved in, and the algorithm stopped, pushing people's content, the new adopters, so much. And so it lasted about a year, I think, then. And then the same thing happened when they introduced LinkedIn live streaming. I was loving watching what was happening on Facebook with Facebook Live and people doing weekly shows and stuff. And so I thought, oh, when LinkedIn introduced live, I'm going to do a weekly show and I'm going to call it Monday Night Live. And that's exactly what I did. So when they first introduced LinkedIn Live, they didn't give it to everyone. You had to apply. And I think you may still have to apply, but it's very relatively easy to get. You had to get invited back then. And so, sorry, it's a bit hot over here in Perth. Just wiping a bit of sweat from my brow. So I got unprecedented reach with LinkedIn Live. Like, we would get millions of views. It would announce it to everyone in my network and then some. Lasted about 6 months to a year. So anyway, the same thing's happening right now with the LinkedIn vertical video feed. I think we've got about 6 months max. There's already creators from TikTok and Instagram moving onto the platform, and these guys are not messing around. They're very talented. But at the moment, you could have 2,000 followers, 700 followers, and you can go viral with a video. And it doesn't have to be professional content either. I've analyzed at least 500 vertical videos that have been pushed into the feed. Because what happens is you post a video and it'll get like 300, whatever your normal view count is, over a couple of days. And then one morning you'll wake up and it's like 700,000 overnight. And so what's happened is LinkedIn's not pulling every video into the mobile feed. It's got a formula and it's scrolling through all the videos and it's choosing which ones to put in there so they can give the users a good experience. And so, obviously when I started posting videos regularly, when I heard about this news, when my first video got popped into the feed, I wanted to analyze why that might be. And so I analyzed, a few hundred videos, and since then I've analyzed a lot more. And I've looked at the patterns and what are they doing that's different to get featured in this feed and get all that reach. So this is the first thing I noticed. They were consistent, right? So they were posting regularly, whether it's once or twice a week, but they've been doing it, regularly for at least 2 or 3 weeks. So that's the first thing, is you just got to commit to posting at least once a week video. Now, the video needs to be vertical. There's some videos that I've seen get in there that haven't been vertical, but obviously LinkedIn want to show vertical videos because that's what fits on the mobile screen. So the easiest way to create a vertical video is to record it with your mobile, up like this in portrait. And then you want to make it around a minute long. 30 seconds to 90 seconds seems to be the ideal range. It can be up to 2 minutes, but I've noticed that most videos are 30 seconds to 90 seconds. And you want to make sure the subtitles are actually burned into the video. So that doesn't mean using LinkedIn's automated subtitles. It means, actually getting them to go into the video. So whether they somebody clicks subtitles or not, they can see the subtitles, if that makes sense. And that's because 80%, I think it's 80% roughly of LinkedIn's users are actually watching videos with the sound off. So if you don't have captions, people might watch your videos, but they don't know what you're saying. So the captions actually become a really important part of the storytelling aspect to it. And you can get them done for free these days. I mean, you used to have to pay to get them transcribed back in the day, and now you can do it for free. You could go to Opus Clip. They've got a free subtitle thing that they'll throw subtitles in, and they look really cool. And there's CapCut. You can check that out. They've got a free version, a paid version. A couple of ways you can do it, or obviously you can outsource it as well. But those are the things you've got to focus on. Be consistent, vertical video, the length, and putting subtitles in, and you can achieve these same results. So I've over the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've got loads of videos being edited at the moment. So I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity over the next 6 months. One of the things I wanted to highlight before we move on to the next section is just about consistency. It's more important than perfection. It's very easy to procrastinate trying to get something perfect. It's much better just trying to get things out there. Don't let it being perfect get in the way of it being good enough. And this is something I've also had to work on. I'm very open about that. I've got very high standards for my content, but sometimes it's just important to get the stuff out there, because if it's sitting on your computer or sitting on your phone, it's not helping anyone. So it's better to get it out there and to add value and to get another at bat and move on to the next piece of content. So staying consistent is way more important than perfection. And you've got to be patient. The GIFs aren't working on the StreamYard that I'm using, but that's an animation that's to do with being patient. So we'll look here. Okay, so the most underrated strategy. I've kept you waiting in suspense long enough. Has anybody guessing what it might be in the comments? Haven't seen any guesses come. I think Yasmin just popped in to say hi, but he would definitely know what I'm talking about here. All right. The power of commenting. Comments. Right. Yes. The power of comments. This is something that is just so underrated. No one's doing it. Well, a very small portion of the people are doing it, getting a lot of attention. Now, here's how I know this works, right? I've tested it. And sure, it takes a little bit of effort, especially if you're not used to doing it. It takes a lot of energy to do this properly. But what you'll notice is when you spend half an hour a day, maybe 3 times a week, I don't believe you have to do it every day, but let's say you do 3 half-an-hour slots per week. So what you want to do is create lists of people that are likely to have an audience that your clients will be in. And you ideally want to use people who have got a decent sized audience, not too big. You can have a couple in there that are big, but I think it's also important to focus on people that are they're still reachable. Like they're going to respond to your comment and engage with you and stuff like that. So if they've got 2,000 or 3,000 followers or connections, that's a great start. And you can see that they're active, posting regularly. They've got to be posting regularly, a couple of times a week, really. And then you come up with a list of them, and you might have a few lists. But let's say to start with, you come up with 20 people that are already in your network that are posting regularly, that are likely to have an audience that your clients might be in. And you come up with a list of 20. And then what you do is you go to their profile and you turn on the notification bell on their profile and make sure that you get alerted for every post they do. Some of them, you'll notice they post at the same time when they do post, which makes it really easy because you pop it in your calendar. There is some software out there that you can use to help you with this called Use Aware. Just Google Use Aware. You can create lists and do comments really quickly using that software. I've tried it out. I actually do it manually. And then you go through, and every time they post, you leave a comment. And I'm going to share with you how to do this, but and you do it every time they post, at least one comment, if not more comments. And so what happens is you become really active in that person's feed. First of all, that person that you're commenting on is likely to respond to your comments, which means you're going to show up to their audience. They're likely to come back to your profile and have a look at your posts and start engaging with your content, the law of reciprocity, the word I cannot pronounce. And all of their audience is going to start seeing you regularly. And so if you consistently do that and consistently show up, you're going to be well known to that particular creator. You're going to be well known to their audience, and you're going to start to get a lot of profile views. So when I did that, I did it maybe three times a week for 30 minutes. I doubled my profile views, and that's the goal, right? So the goal is to get more profile views, because if you think about how do you generate leads on LinkedIn? Well, there's 2 ways to do it, and it's the same with any marketing. You've got inbound marketing and you've got outbound marketing. And just to explain it very simply, outbound marketing is where you run out and tell as many people as you can about what you do, hoping that you find somebody interested. So it might be like a news, like a leaflet drop in an apartment. If you're a real estate agent, you're sending, letters out to everyone, hoping you find someone that's interested. You're shouting from the rooftops, hey, this is me, this is what I do. And it's a traditional form of marketing. Whereas, and by the way, outreach is kind of outbound marketing as well. If you're sending direct messages, what we're trying to do with outreach is convert the outbound marketing activity into an inbound marketing activity by getting them to view our profile, if that makes sense. Inbound marketing is where people are looking for what you do, or coming to you, to your profile, or Googling and ending up on your website. So they're looking for what you do, and you're just showing up in the right place, right? So what you're doing with LinkedIn is you're doing this outbound stuff, I guess, posting content. You're just making all this noise, direct messages. And then the idea is that we get people to view our profile, and that does its job of converting visitors into leads. So the problem is, if you spend all your time sending messages, or you spend all your time posting content, and you get, like, maybe you're not getting views to start with, and then all of a sudden you crack it and you're in the video feed and you've got 1 million views. If your profile's not right, it won't make a difference. It's really important that you've got the conversion point. And if you haven't had the traction before with all the attention, you may not be aware that your profile is not doing its job. So make sure that you focus on that to start with. More comments equals more profile views. So, if you're looking for a way to get more attention, just go out and commenting on the right people's posts, right? posting is great for visibility, but it's limited. Ideally, you should be posting once a day, otherwise it's going to hurt your reach, right? So, the celebrities get away with posting every 4 hours, but unless you're a celebrity, it's going to hurt your reach. You really don't want to do more than one post a day. And it takes time to create content, at least good content, whereas commenting, it's unlimited. You could do 300 comments in a day easily. And every comment is like, it's like a post. Each invites profile views. Now, the mistake that a lot of people make is they just write on there, hey, great post. Thanks for sharing. It's not delivering any value. So why is somebody going to come and view your profile? So I want you to be a bit more thoughtful and strategic than that. The other thing I'll mention here is the mere exposure effect. Basically what this is, it's a psychological phenomenon that says the more times that somebody is exposed to your brand, the more familiar it is to them, and therefore the more likely they are to buy from you over the next provider. So you build trust just by showing up in front of somebody regularly. So what that means is, like, let's say, you go to a foreign country and you go to a deli and there's all these different, sodas and colas in there. And then you see Coca-Cola. Because you recognize the brand, you're more likely to buy it because you trust it and you know what to expect. That's essentially what we're talking about here. So by doing all this regular activity and, and doing it consistently on the same profiles, because you're showing up repetitively with their audience and you've got insightful comments that add value, these people are more likely to look at your profile and understand what you do and then buy from you over the next person. You've got to add value with your comments. It's not about you. So you've got to think about, what can I put on this particular post? Obviously read the post or watch the video, and then think about how you can add value. So actually people that you could be commenting on could be your competitors, right? Because they're going to have the audience that is ideal for you, and you know a lot about what they're talking about. That's why you see a lot of competitors comment on each other's posts. I mean, obviously they're talking about the same topic and that's interesting, but they also get the added benefit of getting exposed to their audience. So take advantage of that. So how to add value through comments. Now there's 4 ways to add value on social media. You can educate, you can inspire, you can entertain, or you can provide additional information. The same with when you're posting content. So when you comment for the audience, not just the creator, if that makes sense. So somebody posts, you say, great post. A lot of people just talking to the person that posted it. What I want you to think about is, how can I do a comment that's also relevant to the audience? So it might be like, hi, Jeff, thanks for sharing. That was a great post. Here's another thing that I've learned that I wish I knew years ago, for example. If you disagree, then that's actually a good thing because it'll create more engagement and it'll polarize, and you want to share that in a respectful manner. That's all. People are really adverse to disagreeing with posts, but it's great if you do it in the right way and you be respectful and you just say, oh, that's really interesting that you found that. Here's what I found. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's really what social media is all about. Share something inspiring. Motivational quotes work really well. If somebody's sharing something inspiring, you can punch in a quote that you like or something that you've read somewhere. And if you get really desperate, Google it or ask ChatGPT for something. And look, if it's showing up at the top of Google, it's obviously a popular quote. And if it resonates with you, share it in the comments. You can add images in the comments. You may have seen people do this. It's a great way to stand out. And you can also use humor. GIFs are great for this, but just use them within reason. Don't just throw GIFs out all the time. But humor is a great way for you to get attention as well. But I want you to get active in the comments. And this is really what I want you to focus on this week. So between this Monday and next Monday, if I was to give you some homework, it would be to get active in the comments, make at least 200 comments between now and next Monday. Next Monday, we'll be doing some Q&A. So if you do want to ask a question on the show, just shoot me a DM on LinkedIn with your question. And I will, if we're happy to have you on the show, I will provide you with a link and you'll actually be able to come and join me on video. If you'd prefer just to type it in the chat, then make sure you DM me ahead of schedule so I can make sure we've got room to answer it. But we'll be covering Q&As next week. I also want to touch on LinkedIn lead generation. There's a few things that I've changed in my systems recently that I want to make you aware of. Whereas we used to have a 3-step system, now there's a 4-step system. So I want to share with you what the 4th step in my LinkedIn outreach process is. By the way, if you want to get some GIFs for your comments, go to giphy.com, GIPHY. And with that, we're going to wrap up. Thanks for those of you that tuned in live. If you're watching the replay, thanks for doing so. I hope you got value. Please do let me know your feedback in the comments or in the private messages. And if you'd like to ask a question next week, let's do that. I'm going to be scheduling more Monday Night Lives coming up. You're not necessarily going to get an invite to everyone because I can only invite 1,000 people a week from my profile. So keep an eye out for the events that I post for Monday Night Live. I'm thinking of creating a subscriber list. I was thinking of creating like a community for Monday Night Live, but I'm going to work on that as we go because I want to get feedback from you guys. But that way we could have a consistent link and it will just go to whatever, live stream is on that week. Obviously, we're on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So if you want to watch it on YouTube on your couch, you can do that as well. It's on YouTube, and I'll be scheduling next Monday's live shortly. And we'll just improve this process together as we go. But thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for all the feedback in the comments, and I'll see you next week.